Welcome back to those of you who have been here for a while, and welcome to those of you who are new. So this is actually my second Hatman video, and I had so many Hatman letters when I put out like the last call post not that long ago. It was just somewhat overwhelming. So there's probably going to be a third Hatman video just so I get everybody's, letters out there. So for those unfamiliar, Hatman is a recurring figure in personal accounts, a tall, shadow entity, often described wearing a dark coat and a wide brim hat. So like thinking like the 1920s, Boardwalk Empire kind of outfit. He's most commonly reported during or around episodes of sleep paralysis and nightmares, appearing in bedrooms as people drift off to sleep or wake up. While some suggest a link between Benadryl-induced hallucinations due to its connection with sleep paralysis, this explanation feels unsubstantiated based on the first-hand accounts I've encountered personally. So people like to say that about Benadryl. I just don't believe that. I think that's kind of like it's just one of those theories to feed the masses, if you get my drift. So interestingly, the Hatman is often not reported in isolation. Rumors and recurring themes in personal encounters suggest a possible association with other shadow entities. Some sources and individuals believe that the appearance of the Hatman may act as an introduction or even an opening of perception to a wider range of shadow figures. So he's kind of like once you start seeing him, now you're going to start seeing more things. But I also think that there's two parts to that. So if you're already seeing things, I think that may even also open things up for him. I don't know, but I definitely think there is a connection there. I would say we have a good grasp on what Hatman looks like, what he appears like, and all throughout the world it seems like he looks very similar. So, but what is he? Is he like a weird neurological glitch between REM sleep and full consciousness? That little space in between there, that's literally like the realm of nightmares. Or is maybe he's even something more sinister. So I did a video on shadow people. I don't believe it was a Hatman specific video. You can go back and look, but anyway, where I presented the question if he was like a devil type of figure that's able to open up the gateway and pathway in your subconsciousness, or maybe you're already susceptible, so he's able to get in there. So what if he is some sort of just all around evil type of dark archetype throughout the world in everybody's religion or thought process or whatever, and he's able to just get in there, and that's why you're afraid and you start seeing things. I don't know. What if I wouldn't say he's good. Why does he scare you? And now we're going to go into some even more unconventional theories. So now we're into conspiracy theorist Mal. All right, so everybody knows worldwide, and if you don't agree, I'm sorry. I guess learn something, that our government and governments around the world literally hate us and they hate their citizens. Everybody knows that the CIA is known for doing really shady crap to us. So what if Hatman, this phenomena, is an unintended, they jacked up basically. What if this is an experiment that's kind of just gone haywire? So what if it was meant as a spy tool and they wanted to test it out on us, and maybe they were going to use it, on other governments or something like that, and they were using it on us, and now it's just kind of spiraled out of control, so now everybody is just seeing this dark, shadowy figure all the time because of some stupid experiment that they pulled. I don't know, just an idea. Let me know what you think. Of course, there's always those theories that he is like a time traveler I don't know about that. I mean, maybe, you know, like from the 1920s or something like that. Or like he's actually like an extraterrestrial. I don't know. I'm not really into those theories as much. Time traveler maybe, but they say that about Barron Trump too, but I don't know. I guess your theories is as good as all the rest. But anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the letters. This one is actually my experience. I had this not that long ago, and prior to that I had actually never had a Hatman experience. Now I have had multiple like shadowy types of figures, but never actual Hatman. And I was in my bed. I was not experiencing sleep paralysis. I have actually experienced sleep paralysis before, and I know I wasn't. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't take Benadryl. I all of a sudden just woke up, like, because you abruptly, you know, wake up and you feel like somebody's watching you. I look at the foot of my bed and there was the classic super tall figure with the Hatman brimmed hat, you know, but I couldn't make out any features on his face. But the thing that like I distinctly remember about that was like I was so freaking scared. Now, if you know me or know anything about me, it takes a lot to scare me. I don't really scare at all, but I was so freaking terrified. Like my heart was just, it's very weird feeling, almost like helpless. I don't know. And then I remember my eyes blinking, you know, and then I blinked and it was just gone. It was really weird. That was a very strange thing. And I know, like, my experience, that type of thing is super common. So that whole like doom kind of scary feeling, it was really. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and read the actual first letter that somebody wrote into me. So this one is called The Hatman in the Doorway. So at the age of 13, I shared a room with my 9-year-old sister. The peaceful sound of her quiet snoring filled the darkness as I lay awake. Without warning, an unseen force seemed to direct my attention towards the doorway, and that's when I saw him. A figure stood there, impossibly tall, his presence defined by the stark black of his wide-brimmed hat and the long lines of his trench coat, all the way down to his unseen feet. His face was a disturbing blank canvas, lacking any discernible features, no mouth and no nose. But then I saw them, 2 points of faint, malevolent, red glowing eyes in the darkness where normal eyes should have been. The terror was immediate. Because, you know, that's what's interesting, because I didn't see red eyes, but some people, they do. So I am thankful that I didn't. Sorry that this person did. And then, as suddenly as he appeared, he was gone, vanishing in the blink of an eye. That single fleeting moment remains one of the most profoundly frightening events I've ever encountered. So that's what's always all the Hatman events that I've, you know, read, that especially if they appear in your room, like they are so scary, like heart pounding scary. And another weird thing, it wasn't with this person, but when I talked to some of the others, so I remember when I had my issue, I can't remember what was going through my head. Like, you know, you have like, you're like thinking about something at the time, because I fully believe that I was awake, but it's like, so I'm having terrifying images run through my mind at the time it's happening, but I can't remember what they are. And I asked other people, hey, did you have like similar things happen to you too? And a few of them said yes. So I can't recall what they were, but I don't know if that is what is something about him and unique that makes his experience him even more scary. 4 or 5 years ago, I moved back to my home state after spending a year in Florida. A friend let me stay at a property of his that had been vacant for years. Basically, an abandoned, secluded house on a large property. This is in New Jersey, in the woods on a ridge in an area that is not heavily populated. Basically in the woods with neighbors a decent distance away. Very secluded and quiet, house hidden from roads and lots of wildlife. At the time I was working in another area far away and would get back to the house late after dark every night. It was very dark in this area, illuminated only by natural light. The house is sort of a modern house, but built years ago and falling apart. Lots of glass walls and floor to ceiling windows. When I would arrive at the house, which was sizable, I would park in the garage and walk up to the stairs from the lower area, which were open to the rest of the house, to the upstairs, and which contained all of the living areas. Sort of an odd layout, but it's a 3-story house on an incline on a ridge. Sort of looked like a ski lodge. There are so many houses like that here in Colorado, so I know exactly what he's talking about. So the view coming up the stairs would end at the living dining kitchen area, which had a wall of glass windows running all along the back and faced the woods, which were only a few feet from the house. This particular night was well lit by the moon, so I walked up to the house and I could clearly see out the glass wall into the woods and beyond. As I cleared the last step and looked forward toward the glass wall, there was the classic Hatman figure. No details were visible, just a fully blacked out classic shape of the Hatman, taller than me, large stocky build. It looked just all black, long coat, cape, or like a poncho, sort of like the Old West looking. No eyes were visible. I stopped and we sort of looked at each other for several seconds. He was right up to the window/glass. That was the small dining area which was open to the rest of the floor of the house, looking directly at me. Then he just sort of moved backwards in a gliding fashion towards the tree line and faded away. Distance between him and I from where I was the last step to the window was approximately 15 feet. Lighting was good because of the bright moon that night, and no lights were on in the house. I would always walk up in the dark before turning the lights on in the kitchen, and it being a dark area in the woods. I was completely sober, maybe slightly tired from working all day, and just drove an hour to get home from my job. This experience wasn't exactly scary, but just shocking. Other things happened at that house during my several months stay there that might be considered paranormal, and I would love to hear them. This one, okay, so when I read this, I was somewhat freaked out. So when he said like the classic Hatman with the hat, but he mentioned a poncho, my dad is he went lots of years being a skeptic, and he just kind of like recently started opening up to kind of like the paranormal and stuff like that. He recently told me about a Hatman entity in a classic, and when we say like the Hatman, it's like maybe there's some that look like the 1920s kind of Hatman, but I also wonder, is there some that kind of look like, you know, like the Old West kind of Hatman? Because the one that he described to me also, you know, looked like an Old Western type of Hatman, and he saw that when he was younger. So I don't know, that one, when I read that, I was like, oh my god. So not only is there Boardwalk Empire Hatman, but there's also Clint Eastwood Hatman. So thank you for sharing that. It was a very good one. Anyway, on to the next one. All right, so this is our last letter of the video, and it starts out as, this happened about 10 years ago, and I'm going to try to tell you exactly how she told me. She slept on the side that was closest to the door. She told me that when she woke up because she felt that someone was watching her. She opened her eyes and she saw what appeared to be a man wearing an old-fashioned hat that men used to wear when it would rain. She said that she was screaming and that she could hear my breathing next to her but could not move. I'm thinking that she heard herself screaming in her head but never actually was. She said there was buzzing that seemed to get louder, and she became more scared until she finally passed out. When she woke up, she was very afraid and upset with me until I told her about what she saw, and she looked up what it was. Okay, so this person, you know how they always connect Hatman with, you know, having like sleep paralysis. So I think that's why they do that. So it sounds somewhat like a classic like sleep paralysis, but my question is, why is Hatman always what's happening during sleep paralysis? I don't know, but you know what? I've had sleep paralysis and I didn't see Hatman, I saw something else. But I want to know why. Why is he appearing when people are having sleep paralysis? Maybe sleep paralysis is the connection to like that little gateway there that lets him in to that person's mind. I don't know, but I do believe that person was probably experiencing sleep paralysis. Why she saw him, I don't know. I'm not sure why everybody sees Hatman. I don't think that's actually, I think she just probably saw Hatman. I don't know. I'll let that be up to you guys and what you think. Due to the amount of Hatman letters that I have, there is definitely going to be a part 3. But with that being said, if you have any sort of paranormal letter that you'd like me to read, remember 100% anonymous, go ahead and send that in, and I'll of course read that into the next up and coming videos coming up. If you are brand new and you're just kind of stumbled upon my channel, please like and subscribe. I'm really trying to kind of build this channel up, mainly because I'd like to be able to actually link my shop. I don't know if you knew it, but I'm actually a metalsmith and I paint and I make little tiny cryptid jewelry. I would like to be able to link that into my channel. So please like and subscribe, and you guys have a wonderful